You don't just want to feel valuable. You want proof. Proof in how people choose you, in how they respond to you, in how you're seen. And the thing is, you know that you can have value, but it always hits different when it's being reflected back to you. When someone wants you, when people engage with you, when something about you gets validated out loud. But when that proof isn't there, you start to feel it. Things might start to feel a little bit off, a little quieter than you're used to, a little less certain. Not because your value changed, but because you've got used to checking for it outside of yourself. And when there's nothing there to confirm it, you don't feel grounded. You feel unsure. Not confused, just disconnected from something that you should already know. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Rebuild Different. I'm Epiphany Page, and today we're going to be talking about what happens when your sense of value doesn't come from you. It comes from attention, validation, relationships, achievements, or how you're perceived. And let me be clear, wanting to feel chosen, that's human. Of course it is. We all want to feel chosen. That's not the issue. The issue is when you stop feeling solid without it. Because when your entire sense of self becomes reactive, it goes up when you're being validated, it drops when you're not. And now your life is being led by things outside of you that you have no control over. And this shows up in a lot of different ways. Some people do not give themselves any sort of space in between relationships. If you know, you know. It's one person, then it's another, then it's another. And it sounds like, I just move on fast. I know what I want. I'm not going to sit around and be sad. But if you actually never sit in the ending, if you never process what happened, what you ignored, what your role in it might have been, you're not moving on. You are moving through people. Because being with someone, even the wrong someone, gives you something to focus on. So you don't actually have to sit with the quiet or the grief or the accountability. And here's the less obvious version. Some of you are single, but never really alone. There's always someone texting. There's always someone interested. There's always someone in the background. I know this sounds familiar for some of you. So you never actually have to feel unchosen. Different behavior, same pattern. But at the same time, I've never been someone who could jump from person to person. There were times when I wished that I could do that. When something ended for me, I was in it. Like, in it. Processing it, feeling it, sitting in it. To the point where even thinking about dating again was the furthest thing from my mind. And I used to wonder, like, how are people just able to move on like that? But now I understand. It's not always because they've moved on. Sometimes it's just because they've avoided sitting still long enough to feel it. And this shows up in careers too, where your value feels tied to your title, your recognition, your achievements. So you keep chasing the next thing, the next role, the next level, the next proof that you're doing well. But if you take the time and slow down and ask, do I actually feel solid in what I bring, even without the title? That's a harder question. Or on social media, you post something, you check who liked it, who didn't. And sometimes it's not even because you care like that. We all do it. But because it just does something to your nervous system. It either confirms something in you or it doesn't. And I've definitely had to check myself on this too. Because for a long time, I did lean on my past achievements and what I had done as a way to feel solid. Like, if I accomplish this, if I look like this, if people respond to me like this, then I must be good. And one of my friends actually said something to me recently that kind of stuck. And she wasn't wrong. She said, Paige, there was definitely a point where you did rely on that stuff. Because it's easy to build your identity around the things that get you validated. We see all the stupid shit that people put online all the time that gets them validated, even in the most negative ways, but people still do it. But what happens when those things aren't speaking for you in the moment? And what I've learned is external validation is supposed to enhance how you feel, not define it. Because if your sense of value disappears the second no one's choosing you, no one's validating you or reflecting something back to you, then it was never fully yours. And that doesn't mean that you don't want love or recognition or success. Of course you do, but those things should feel like additions, not requirements for you to feel okay. And at some point, you really should ask yourself, do I feel valuable on my own? Or do I only feel valuable when something on the outside confirms it? Because those two are completely different experiences. Being chosen should feel good, but it shouldn't be the only reason you feel valuable. Because if that's the only place that your worth lives, you will keep chasing people, attention, and achievements just to feel like yourself, instead of realizing that it was supposed to come from you the entire time. All right, guys, that's been another episode of Rebuild Different. I'm Epiphany Paige. Thanks for watching. If this hit for you, send it to someone who's still looking for proof. But more importantly, check where this is showing up in your own life. Because awareness will show you the pattern, but it won't break it. Because only you can do that. And I'll see you guys next week.